then we'll do online. Mike, start us off, please.
Mike Guida, CORC.
Holly Hahn, Office of the General Counsel.
Dave Dolan, almost said what my sign says. Chief of Facilities Management.
And I will announce that Dave is no longer deputy chief. He has been raised up to the actual chief level. He went from the frying pan into the fire with one simple name change. David Porter, CORC.
Barbara Myers, Construction Purchasing.
Bill Hugel, CORC.
Aaron Howard, Facilities Construction.
Dorothy Banaszewski, Facilities Construction.
John
Levinson, Rel Enterprises, representing Wharton Smith and Zaskovich Architects.
Michael O'Neill, Proctor Construction.
Inspector General.
John Loki, Roebling Architecture Construction.
Okay, online, Dorothy, you want to just have them shout out?
Let's do it in order this time. John Cheshire, you can.
John Cheshire,
CORC. Okay, Lou Doctor.
You might be
He's on mute.
He's on mute. All right, Lou's here. Michael Gelfand.
Present.
Tom Berger.
Present.
And Virginia Ferris.
Here.
Sam Shannon's there.
Sam just joined.
Okay, Sam.
Sam's here.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. And Virginia, we've already been given the weather report that you kind of need jackets where you're at there.
But it's also only 6 o'clock in the morning here.
Yeah, but it'll go from 61 to 65 then instead. So, you know, up to 95.
It's just glorious.
So Palm Beach County may not see you again, huh?
Oh, no. They kicked me out after 6 months.
Okay.
And Lassiter.
And Lassiter has joined. All right, Ben.
yeah.
Good. All right, so we got attendance. I have nothing to report. Anyone with a conflict? That Ken with feedback, maybe?
So it looks like.
You're gonna mute that person?
Yes.
Okay.
Not showing up again.
It's Lou. And
I think it's Ken that just joined with the feedback.
There it is. Okay. It's Lou.
it's Lou.
That's Lou. Oh, okay. All right. Again, I'll repeat the question. I was distracted there. Anyone with a conflict today? All right. Not hearing anybody online. No one in the room. So no conflicts.
I have plenty of conflicts. No conflicts with business here.
Okay.
Right.
CORC report. Lou, we get any feedback, I guess, from the board?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
No feedback. They accepted the report. No comments.
Okay. Can you do a report again for this month?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. We're up to staff updates.
Okay, Dorothy, did you want?
I actually have a few things to.
There we go. I'll let her go first because mine are all the bigger ones that we all know about.
hear anything. Anybody hear me? Who is that?
Yeah, Ken,
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Ken, can you hear us?
No.
No.
Apparently not.
Okay.
Shoot him a chat.
So yeah, write a chat that just says, Ken, we'll catch up with you in a minute to see if we can help you with the tech.
Guys, I'm here. I'm sorry if you're looking for me.
Oh, no, the other Ken. But thanks, Ken Trochet. Appreciate it.
Oh, that Ken.
Or the other Ken can't hear us, so we can say whatever we want about him.
All right, Dorothy, whenever you want to give us your
So
staff updates.
when Susan was here as secretary, she sent out some calendar invitations. Some of them she sent out 4 or 5 years ago. They were recurring invitations. A few of you guys have received some of these odd invitations for different dates. So we have gone through with IT because nobody can access her account. IT is the only one that can remove those calendar invites. And they had gone through and told us they had everything removed. And then this month some more popped up. So as you get these odd invites, please let me know so that we can get them tracked down by IT. I also have a couple of videos that I was going to share and show if anybody.
I see these.
There are a lot of like angles and stuff to try to keep the water from accumulating. We're working with our special project administrator and the chief of facilities, Mr. Dave Nolan.
The senior project administrator is in charge of the entire project.
We're at Ward County Park Elementary School today, where the penny is hard at work. This is just one project of many. We got about 25 major facility renewals going on this summer. And we do that every summer along with winter break, spring break. We try to do most of our work when the kids are off campus.
You'll see that there's
Look ahead. We've got a major facility renewal project going on. How many square feet of roof are we doing here roughly? Replacing the roof, which it's reached its lifespan of about 25 years. We're redoing the HVAC and we're bringing in new LED lighting into the classroom and doing a little painting to spruce things up.
We hire architects, engineers, and contractors themselves to be SPAs, knowing the situations, knowing how to handle situations, having been through them yourself, and recognizing where you got it right, where you got it wrong. All of the lights are now installed with energy efficient measures. How to manage the people and managing relationships. That's the other side of this, because then they often have opposing views from contractors and architects, and they need to make sure that they are working in tandem and in unison to ensure that the ultimate goal for the school district is.
Kind of like being hands-on. And then I got up on the roof and I saw the guys working with the shovels and the wheelbarrows. I said, hey, maybe supervise not such a bad thing today. See a little more.
This is
Today I learned just how important it is to reinvest in our schools. That's why this penny sales tax is so vital to our community. Schools don't last forever, and we've got 180 campuses we have to continually reinvest in, just like we have to maintain your own home. So we need that penny, and we're making good use of it, and we're also upgrading and improving the facilities as we go on.
So each and every school will be touched as part of the sales tax.
Okay, and the second video.
Here at Blue Lake Elementary, earn an associate's degree, RN to the exempt degree, master's degree, doctoral degree, or postgraduate certificate. All offer the online flexibility you need. Learn more from an advisor today.
New year. Teachers and families are excited to finally be inside Blue Lake Elementary School. The start of the day went pretty smoothly. The cars all in and out by about 8 o'clock as parents learn the new traffic pattern at this brand new school. A little more than 700 students calling this school their home for this new school year.
It was really, really overwhelming. I mean, there's a lot of technology here, and I like seeing some of the stuff, and I think it's pretty cool.
3 stories. The school is beautiful. All the technology is brand new, so we're really excited to start here today.
I liked how much space there was. The superintendent says having everything shiny and new not only inspires him, but the students as well, and helps everyone continue to move forward.
I'm encouraged by the growth. I think you want to be in a school district that's growing. That's much easier than when it's declining. So I welcome the growth.
Students going into 5th grade now zoned here for Blue Lake Elementary School did have the option to stay at their previous school. So there's 2 classrooms right now of 5th graders, plenty of room to grow. The school can hold close to 1,000 students. Reporting in Boca Raton, Stephanie Suskine, WPTV, News Channel 5.
And we'll have a little more from Angel in a few minutes to give a first day update. So.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it, Dorothy?
Yes.
Yeah. Dave?
Okay, yeah. So again, as Dorothy pointed out, Blue Lake, brand new school opened up yesterday. And I'm very excited about the outcome. It went surprisingly well. Not surprisingly well, but it went very well in that we always expect hiccups and headaches. And knock on wood, the school opened up. Their drop-off yesterday morning went very smoothly. As a matter of fact, well, I'll let Angel tell you more about that. when he comes on. We also had 2 holding schools. Many of you all know that Melaleuca and Grove Park are under construction. If you go to both of those sites, they are both piles of rubble right now. They have both been demolished, basically just about completely. And we had to put them in holding schools. So Grove Park, which is not far from Lincoln Elementary, there's a second story in Lincoln that was vacant. And that's where we moved all the Grove Park students. And many of you may remember that's where we housed Washington the year before last when we were doing the improvements at the upgrades at Washington. We created a holding school, a portable rented modular holding school out at Crestwood Middle School to house Melaleuca Elementary. You'll see pictures of it in a little while. They're not the most updated ones. I tried my darndest. I have a video, but I'll never get it to work. It's all over the place. But I have a great video of the finished product. They droned the site on Sunday night. So, and that school opened up yesterday again as well as a success. The operations, the school uses part of Crestwood, a small portion of Crestwood Middle, and we have 47 rented portables on that site. This site will house Melaleuca for this school year. And then once this school year is over, we will quickly move them out into their brand new school, which James knows will be done for this coming summer. And then we will move Winbrook into this holding school. So it is a 2-year holding school. And we're working out the kinks right now. And but again, very happy about the results of those 2. In addition, I can't stress enough the efforts that our maintenance department went through. Our construction department, all the facility renewals that Mr. Burke was just talking about. And as well, Dorothy and her now cadre of staff that she has working for her, because we have a lot of minor projects. We call them minor, but there's nothing minor about them, especially when it comes to the schools. What seems minor to us in dollar value is incredibly important to those schools, to the teachers, the parents, the students, and it's become apparent how important that work is. And so again, Dorothy, I'm happy that you've got a whole group of guys that are a group of folks that are cranking out a lot of projects. In addition, if you look around the room here, you'll notice it looks like there's some work going on. In fact, while all of our construction has been going on in the schools, we've actually been doing some construction in here. So we're going to clean this up. It'll be a little bit nicer next month. It's just about done. We've done some office improvements upstairs as well. And primarily because thanks to you guys in the board, we were successfully able to bring on a number of AECOM additional staff members. Those are predominantly the folks that are helping Dorothy, but to help us get a lot more work done. And those guys have come on, and now we need more space. So we're jamming everybody in, and we're making some improvements. So my big picture, my big takeaway from the summer work, incredible work. The maintenance staff, our minor projects guys, the work that we got done was incredible. We're gonna take a week or 2 to kind of settle and kind of do our hits and misses and best, try to figure out what worked. And then we're going to jump right back into it. I know I've got some of the FCA projects. We literally give the contractors a couple of days off. We tell them, stay away from the schools on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Come Monday, we're back on. So hopefully we give the opportunity for schools to get settled and see how everything works, and then we jump right back in. So we're excited for a whole new school year. And again, I don't want to steal, maybe Mr. Sanchez wants to say something. I don't want to steal the thunder of the academic folks, but boy, they do an incredible job. See, I getting to go out there yesterday to some of the schools for the grand opening, for opening the schools. Boy, it's really exhilarating to see the faces of those kids. I can't impress enough. Like, there's an opportunity that you get to go see some of those kids or see the schools, or if we can help facilitate that, please let us know, because it's really refreshing. Sometimes we lose sight of what we do this for. That's what it is, and that was really a huge impression. Mr. Sanchez, did you?
Yeah, I did. Thanks, Dave, for that opportunity. Yeah, some of you recall my last time around, we used to have a lessons learned and best practices workshop in the fall after we opened up schools. So we're doing something similar on September 26th. We're going to have in the morning. We're going to have. It's going to be not just construction, but different operations issues that we're going to be talking about. But one of the sessions is going to be on the lessons learned and best practices that we've learned from the recent opening of schools and ongoing projects. So I'm hoping that some of you will be able to participate in that symposium as well. So we're going to have sessions on, like I said, the construction, but safety is also a big topic. So we're going to have a session on safety and how it's everybody's responsibility to make sure we keep our students safe. So you'll be hearing more about that very shortly. Thanks.
Joe, I assume that's going to be publicly noticed if more than 2 CORC members might show up.
I guess we can do that. Yeah. Okay.
If need be. If
Well, you have
there's an interest, yeah. If CORC members identify to us that they'd like to attend, then we'll certainly do so.
Well, I think even if you had a couple board members that wanted to attend that, you'd have to publicly notice it as well.
Yeah, if there's anything that they could possibly vote on coming up, then we would have to notice it. Yeah.
Well, it could be information that they're gaining that might lead to a vote. So I think it's safe to just publicly notice it. It's not going to be a private meeting anyway. You're going to have architects and contractors there. So
correct.
Bruce is going to weigh in on this at some point.
Going to say what David said.
Yeah, I was kind of impressed. I've been seeing on Twitter and Instagram the district photos of Blue Lake, and seeing what the place looked like a month ago at our last CORC meeting. I went, I don't know about that, but it got done and it was polished and ready.
Yes, even the superintendent mentioned that yesterday at one point, was identifying that. Even seeing it last week, because we had a media day last Monday, and seeing the difference between then and just yesterday was dramatic.
Yep. John, put your hand up.
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate David on his promotion. Well deserved. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Yep. Excellent. Mike, you had your hand up? No?
I was just rubbing my eye.
I say, like the auctioneer. Yeah. Oh, nope. I don't want to buy that. Okay. Michael.
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate staff. The Palm Beach Post had front page stories 2 days in a row. And they were really nice photos, and it got the message out. Congratulations.
Well, and the more surprising part is that they were both positive stories. Okay. Anything else from CORC for Dave?
This is an ultimate unimportant comment, but I'm curious about how you move the students around from Melaleuca and Grove Park all the way over to Roosevelt. You transport every student? I mean, obviously it screws up the normal situation.
Well, Mr. Sanchez, if it's okay, I'll kind of give a start, but I know transportation is certainly a very big part of this.
Yeah, it is, and that was the point I was trying to make.
Yes, and Melaleuca, going to Crestwood, we have about 11 buses. I want to say 11, 12 buses to transport all the kids. There are 670 students that are matriculated to Melaleuca, and the vast majority, from our one-day experience, the vast majority of the students took the bus. We worked with transportation. Shane Searchwell and his team identified very, very concise areas where all the students lived to make sure that every bus stop we were able to pick up all the kids. So we had the capacity to do all that. And I think yesterday I heard there were somewhere around 60 or 70 parent drop-offs. I don't know exactly about the pickups, but parent drop-offs were about 60 or 70 students. So as you can tell, that's 90% of them took the bus for Melaleuca.
That's a big student.
Yeah,
But yes, and then with Grove Park going to Lincoln, it was also the same kind of setup. Grove Park is very much a pedestrian type of school.
Yeah. The others didn't say it.
Oh, yeah. So that is a very pedestrian school. Everybody lives in the neighborhood and generally walks. So that was a bit of a challenge for our transportation department to make sure that we reached out to everybody through the school, went through the school, through the academics, to make sure that they understood that we were going to provide them that opportunity to be bused. Or if they like to drive, that was their prerogative. But we predominantly push and we stress that buses are available for all these students. And that's been I don't want to curse myself. I know I'm doing it, but yesterday was a success. Yesterday was a good day for our drop-offs of students. I know it's the kiss of death is saying that out loud, but we're excited because we worked the plan and it seems to have had some success.
I think the first days of success when front page of the Post is not some kid that got left at a bus stop because they didn't get picked up by the bus. Didn't have any of that. In previous years, sometimes that happened. So it went well. Okay.
And that goes to Mr. Sanchez. I mean, I'm not blowing sunshine, but the efforts that you did see picture of him on a bus. He was around everywhere yesterday. I think you were at Melaleuca twice yesterday, laptop in hand, tracking buses. This wasn't a show day. It was a get work done day. And he makes sure that everything stays moving on all sides, food service, transportation. Kudos. That was a great day yesterday.
Joe, I remember your first time around and you were given transportation and it was just like, okay, how soon can I leave here?
That is one of the issues that kind of drove me away, but that's also one of the issues that brought me back because I love a challenge. So.
Okay, excellent. All right, public comments. Seeing none. All right, let's go down to consent agenda, everyone. FC1.
Me.
Who was that? Michael?
Gelfand.
Okay. FC2. I wanted that. FC3. I also wanted that. FC4. FC5. FC6.
Did you want FC5?
No, 5, 6. I'll go.
Want 6?
Okay.
I wanted 6 also. Oh. Okay, PC1.
Gelfand.
And I wanted that also. PC2. PC3. PC4. I wanted that one. PC5. PC6. Okay.
I move the items on consent agenda that were not pulled.
All right, need a second?
Second.
Second by Sam. All right, Dorothy, go ahead, please.
Bill Hookah,
Yes.
David Porter,
Yes.
Frank Simon. Frank's not here. John Cheshire,
Yes.
Ken Lassiter. Lou Doctor,
Yes.
Michael Gelfand,
Yes.
Mike Guida,
Yes.
Sam Shannon,
Yes.
Tom Berger,
Yes.
Virginia Ferris.
Yes.
Thank you. And he doesn't seem to be able to hear us.
I guess if he doesn't respond, you just have to say he was absent for that vote.
Okay.
And we just keep moving on. All right, FC1, we'll start with Michael, you pulled.
Yes, starting with the initial ones, the Addison Meisner, there are about 10 of them. Over half of them are design omissions. Who's responsible for design and is there a problem?
Oh, you're gonna put that on me.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is, well, and I know Angel's online, so Angel, step in if I misspeak. But the reality is a lot of these items were items that were, we had a tight timeline to get this project designed and built. But the reason you're seeing them all at one time, and that's just based on the availability to get them all compiled. Yes, there are a number of design omissions, and that's not terribly uncommon, especially on for a new school, limiting our exposure of doing too much in the, I guess, over designing them. What I see is that, and not to say that these aren't items that could have and should have been caught, but they are reasonable. They are, I want to say they're generally smaller items that could slip by. It's not an excuse to say that we accept failure or misses, but know that there are often projects. And I bet you if we went back to vote, we probably have around that same number of omissions or design errors. In fact, omissions are oftentimes oversights, not so much as a mistake.
Yeah, the emissions on this came out to 0.04% of the GMP.
Okay.
And we consider anything less than 2% as acceptable.
Dave and the other construction professionals, I need to hear from you if that's a reasonable explanation or otherwise.
Well, I think it is. I had pulled this, and then the explanations that came back, I was okay with, but not exactly satisfied. I think we're squeezing our schedules too tight. And when you squeeze a schedule too tight, architects and engineers are going to miss things.
Yeah.
And they're not going to have complete coordination between all the drawings. And this is what results. It is what it is. I mean, I do think that the architects and engineers for this job should be, taken to the woodshed a little bit, saying, I don't care. You took the job on. You took it under the schedule you were given. We're getting called out on these things. Yes, there are omissions, so they're not costing us more than we would have paid. But you want your next job, this is not acceptable. That would be my position.
Yeah. And I think they're hearing your message right now.
Okay.
I mean, I believe this is Harvard Jolly.
No, this is PGAL.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
JLRD.
Who is it?
PGAL is the architect and JLRD is the MEP.
Okay. Is PGAL also on OOO?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Because again, we got similar things that came up on OOO. So PGAL needs to get their act together.
Were they the same folks that signed off on the wall?
What wall?
The wall, I don't think
E-wall. E-wall.
Yeah. Well, whether or not they signed off on the wall, but yes, they are the architect involved in this. This is Addison Meisner. This is the same project. Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael, I just look at this as unfortunately how way too many architectural firms are understaffed with experienced people. They take on schedules that are too tight. They can't get all the work done. There's nobody there to coordinate everything. Unfortunately, I just hear it from way too many contractors out there that they just shake their heads. That's not an excuse, but it is reality. Simply because there are omissions instead of an error where something got built, we had to tear it apart and then rebuild it where that would be extra costs.
Right.
We would have paid for this stuff anyway. It just means that it didn't get part of the GMP.
John's got a comment.
John.
Yeah, I was a little concerned also, Michael, seeing this many, but I think, and staff can confirm this, it looks to me like a lot of this is just catch-up paperwork. That this underground work must have been done months and months ago, and they're just getting caught up on the paperwork. So I don't think it's too far out of line. I'm a little concerned that the design professionals, didn't catch some of this, and quite frankly, that the contractor didn't catch some of this in their reviews as well. But it's not too bad, in my opinion, for the size of project this was.
Yeah, Mr. Cheshire does have a point, and I tend to agree with him that that's the reason, and I know I got some CMs sitting in the room too, that's the reason we hire CMs, is to help us make sure that the architects, those little oversights that the architects may not catch, the CMs and their subs who are helping us during the pre-construction services are actually giving us some better insights to try to catch these mistakes beforehand. So yes, I think I would agree that in general, I think it's a systematic, not a failure, but it's a systematic challenge that needs to be improved upon. And we can do the same on our staff level. We need to hear more from the CMs, their feedback that, did you actually look at it? Did you actually have a subcontractor look at the plans this time? Did they have comments, or did they just look at them and go, yeah, it looks good? That's not an acceptable response. And I think, as Mr. Cheshire's suggesting, that's something we can probably work on even on our side.
Yep. Frank, Simon.
Yeah, I think that this may point out that an overemphasis on small business may contribute to the problem, because when you have a bigger architectural firm, you have more people generally that will look at something, and you have more people that have a background in different problems and know what to look for. So I think that has to be considered.
Yeah, but Frank, I think PJL is not an SD.
Nope, nor is JLRD. And JLRD
Yeah.
is our predominant HVAC, mechanical, electrical, plumbing.
CM at risk was Moss.
Yeah, and
Small business.
CM at risk was Moss. These are pretty big companies and have a lot of experience with the school district. So while your point may well be understood, I don't think that's the circumstance on this particular project. So,
Well, I'm talking in general, no question about it.
Okay.
But, what can I tell you?
Yeah, I just think the schedule was so tight, and you can only get a certain amount of stuff done in a certain amount of time. Drawings have to go out the door.
there's truth to that as well. If we start late, we miss a month on something, we don't get it together and bring it to the board, we lose that month. That month could conceivably impact us. If we had 15 months for design and we have to cram it into 14, yeah, you're right. It becomes a little bit more of a challenge. We like to think that we hire really strong architects and strong CMs to help make up for those mistakes. But it's a challenge to make sure that we get it done in a timely manner. Give ourselves enough time to appropriately vet the designs.
Yeah, I think Verde, Meisner, and Blue Lake, my recollection is, were all much tighter schedules than 10 years ago. We would have issued an elementary school to AEs and to contractors. And I'm not saying we missed less at that point, but our schedules have gotten squeezed. Virginia?
I'm very glad you pulled this. I wasn't that satisfied with the written explanation, but I did let it go, but I was concerned. So I'm very happy to hear all this discussion about it and the reasonableness of what all these change orders. So thank you.
Okay. Michael, did you have anything else? You pulled it.
It appears that there was a follow-up memo on these, and I did not see it, and I didn't see it posted on the agenda, so my apologies. If someone wants to email that to me while we're in the meeting, and I'll try to keep my remarks shorter then. Number 24, Murakami. This is the second time in a row we've had a change in the number of ADA restrooms in the admin area. Didn't we have one last month or the month before?
Michael, I asked the same question, and the answer is it's the same school. We're just seeing it again. Why are we seeing it again?
Yeah, all right.
Last month, we saw the additional costs related to electric only.
Ah,
This is related to the architectural and the finishes.
okay.
And back in May, we saw it as well, and that was for the additional design.
Right. Okay.
The,
You guys were gonna.
another one coming on down the line?
Not that we are aware of, no.
No.
All right.
I think this goes back to a lessons learned a little bit, where maybe we need to really think through what should go into a school before we tell the architect to go. Because I think that's how this all happened, is that then somebody realized on the administrative side at the school, no, it isn't gonna work.
Well, that's part of our due diligence. We do that. This is a facility renewal. If we're talking about a new school, it's one thing we talk about it. This is facility renewal. This was an ADA compliance thing. And we do have meetings with the architect and the contractor. And Dorothy, you're better off at explaining this out. But at the beginning of the project, to vet exactly what scopes we are going to be doing. What scopes can we afford to do? I mean, you want to go ahead? You want to jump in?
But I think you got to also discuss it with the administration that's there, because they're the ones that I think that raised the red flag going, no, we can't live with one bathroom.
And some of the times we'll have the AP will be the one that sits in the meetings, and the AP will say, I think it's fine. And then we get feedback from the principal later on.
We do have that. We also have a fine line between getting the principals involved and having the principals start demanding things. So we've got a set scope that we're looking at doing, and we try to keep the principals out of it to some extent, because if we tell them we're doing these 8 things, they're going to want 16 other ones.
Right. And it's a facility renewal. So it really should be, we're upgrading your air conditioning. We're upgrading your intercom, your fire alarm. They don't know the first thing about those things. But when we get into ADA, then we start getting into how it feels and how it operates. And that's, as Dorothy says, that's the challenge when we try to communicate that with the principal, and how much do we get them involved. But we're actually, and I don't want to say that we're stagnant. We are actually improving our processes project by project. The AECOM folks, and we also have, like, for example, with the ADA, we now have Heath Thomas, who used to work for maintenance, and well, actually used to do everything, but now he's with Tom Hogarth in the building officials, and he's their ADA compliance person. And in our startup meetings, he's in there in the beginning. So he's helping us steer how we're going to get through this, so we don't have to get into how it's going to feel for the principal and whatnot. We're getting hard and fast feedback from the building officials.
My suggestion is, when we go forward, that we do not change quantities to comply with ADA. If we had done that in this case, there wouldn't have been a problem.
I agree.
You don't reduce the number of toilets simply to comply with ADA. I mean, if they had to, they're used to 2. Make 2 work. Frank.
Mr. Gelfand.
You know, when it comes to us, 3 different months, because one is the electric and one is the design and one is the other parts of the construction, you don't get an overall feeling of what this problem cost. So I think when it first comes to us, we should get a more comprehensive idea when there's a problem and when there's an expense like this, of what the total cost is right off.
What we have done before is that we've requested, for instance, when a change comes for architectural services, to change or add something to a project, that we're also given an estimate for what the construction aspect's going to be, so that we can then update the board to say, okay, yeah, it's going to be another $5,000 for design fees, but be prepared, there's going to be $60,000 in extra construction costs.
Concur. We're actually having an SPA meeting tomorrow morning, and that'll be something we talk about. This is a learned lesson for all the SPAs. It happens occasionally, and this is the kind of thing I would agree. I think our approach, and my approach when I review these things, is to say, is this it? Is that it? It's like my kids when they come to me and say, you know, I need some money for that.
I need 10
Is that
bucks.
it?
Yeah, right.
Are you gonna
You
come
really
back to
need
me in the end?
50.
You need more. I
Well,
want,
hopefully we do better than the kids because that never happens.
right. Well, and that's the thing. I want to make sure that they understand the wallet goes closed that one time. Now, we do have the challenge of you're seeing these in a given month when we're trying to process them and make sure they get executed so that they can get paid for the work. Because when you're seeing them, they're 2 months old and these people have already done the work and we want to get them paid. So that's some of our challenge of getting the timing right on all of these. But it does not preclude what you just referred to as then on the first one, we need to make it clear, here's where all the other ones are going to come in. We expect to see something on electrical and something on plumbing, and those will be coming in the following months, something along those lines. So you at least know we are aware of the full breadth of the project change.
Yeah, because previously that's affected this committee's opinion of whether even the architectural should go forward because of what the ultimate cost is going to be by the time we get it done. So.
Well, remember, these are, and we
I know
appreciate
these
that.
are already done.
These are already done,
Yeah.
and this is a report as opposed to an approval of a change order. So we're trying to stay within our delegated authority and stay within the rules. We're trying to learn every time we meet with you guys to understand how you approach these, so we do recognize that when we consider them on a daily basis.
Well, and what can also happen is instead of it becoming a contingency expense, you make it a change order at that point, knowing that you're going to have to get an overall approval. So if you came to us with a change order that had to be approved, you could say, okay, it's going to be another $20,000 for architectural fees because of this, and the construction cost is estimated to be $400,000.
Sure.
At that point, this committee and the board has the option to say, you look at it from a different approach, way too much. Instead of you guys getting caught in the middle by going ahead and making a contingency, spending for the architectural, and then coming back going, well, here's what the construction is going to cost. And at that point, it's too late. Michael and then Frank.
So
That's one of the points I always make when we're choosing a construction manager is how they do cost projection. And what we're talking about here is as soon as the item came up and people realized they wanted to make this change, an estimated cost should be put into the following month's cost projection, showing what the potential increase will be.
Right. Yep. That's what we're talking about. Michael.
So I'd like to swing in then with this or join in 27 Timber Trace. So we've got an administrative area floor plan change, and it appears that the additional charge that's listed is only for architectural or design services. Do we have any ideas to what the actual construction and final build out is going to be for whatever this design change is?
I do not know that offhand, but this project has not gone to GMP yet. So whatever the changes are will be incorporated into the GMP.
Oh, alrighty.
And Michael, you asked about any additional documents that were sent out. The only thing that was sent out was the questions and responses, and that is on the board agenda. They're 9.07.
All right, I'll go back and grab and take a quick look at that then, so make sure that I get it. Is the Blue Lake on there, the change order number 1? The question I had on that was the difference between the LVT flooring and there's another type that we've been seeing on here. I think it's VCT. I probably have the wrong initials.
Well, perfect.
Correct.
All right, so are we going to be changing specs on this? Is there a reason why we should be using one throughout? So I've seen a couple of these things come on through.
There is a, Dorothy, do you want to take on this? VCT, very common product that schools and, well, everybody uses. Armstrong is the company that has predominantly manufactured and sold that product. Well, to my understanding is they've gone out of business, and that we've been warned about that was going to be happening. So there is, I guess they are supposedly the 95%. And I know you guys, CM guys are kind of giving me the nod, but there is another company called Tarek or Target that supposedly has VCT. We're exploring right now how much more they have. But it is a challenge. If VCT, and this happens in the industry on rare occasions, but it does happen, or a product just ceases to be manufactured. The challenge, of course, is, Michael, you're mentioning, is LVT is dramatically more expensive. I'll tell you, from a maintenance standpoint, it is a pretty good product. It does not require us to wax it. And that is a huge savings for our custodial staff to keep it up. But it does have a duller look. So what we always are challenged with, and our architects can attest to it, is our school district has really become accustomed to seeing VCT with 8 coats of wax. And it's glossy. It's got a pretty sheen to it, right?
The kids can slide on their socks. They love it.
Yeah, exactly. But we may not be able to see that in the future if we end up having to transition, if we're forced to transition away from VCT to an LVT flooring. Yes, it'll cost us more money, and that's a burden we'll have to deal with. It may be a small amount in the overall project cost, but it's certainly also how it looks and feels.
Well, it's going to help you in the maintenance side. So it's a heavier first cost, but then a much less expensive operating cost. Michael, the history of this stuff is we used to have vinyl asbestos tile, VAT, until the old asbestos got removed. Then it went to VCT, vinyl composition tile. And because most people and most designers are now speccing LVT, the luxury vinyl tile, and you can get it in bigger format pieces instead of just standard 12 by 12. A lot of manufacturers are saying, okay, the market's not there anymore. We're just going to go all LVT. So that's what the district's running into.
Last but not least, thank you for that explanation. Now, I was a carpet installer in an earlier life. I never knew much about vinyl tile, so.
I do not see you as a carpet installer down on your knees banging that little carpet structure.
That's right. That was me.
Oh my God.
The last one is Eagles Landing. Is that marquee the type of marquee upgrade that we're doing for all of the schools?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That is where we're headed. At least at this point, we're going to be upgrading all of the high school and middle schools to have the digital displays, and any new construction has the digital display.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Anything else on FC1? If not, Michael, you can make the motion.
Sure. If there's no objection to the board considering FC1.
Second?
Second.
Second by Virginia. I have Dorothy Paul, please.
All right, Bill Hukill,
Yeah.
David Porter,
Yes.
Frank Simon. Frank? Frank? Thank you. John
Yes.
Cheshire?
Yes.
Ken Lassiter?
Aye.
Thank you. Lou Doctor?
Yes.
Michael Gelfand?
Yes.
Michael Guida?
Yes.
Sam Shannon?
Yes.
Tom Berger?
Yes.
Virginia Ferris?
Yes.
You have to sign yourself.
Thank you.
That's what I told you now.
Okay. All right, we're down to FC2. I was the only person that pulled it. Question I've got on this one, and it comes up on a bunch, is time frames. On the second page, I think it is, it's on the actual change order, Dorothy. I mean, it looks like in September of 2021, this was already put forth by the contractor. And then 2 months later was accepted by the architect. And then February of this year, accepted by Joel. So I'm just wondering why some of these are taking almost a year to process.
This is all site, is that?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
No, I was just saying, mostly it's me.
Well,
it is all site. And when I did do the review of this, when we were putting it together and I was checking for delegated authority and such, there were issues with their final pay app and there were issues with the change order. So we had to send it back to them for revisions. And every time it went back and forth, it went back on the bottom of the list for me to review. So it was partly me, partly them. There's a combination of things.
and it's a systematic thing, you know, with these guys. It was, they've always been a little bit challenged in getting their paperwork to us. And so we stress, we push them. I mean, the SPAs know the last thing they want to have is another thing hanging over their head. So they do their best to try to push the contractors. And sometimes, like in this case, they take a little bit longer than they really need to.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I thought. If it's possible, I would like to see on our cover pages in the future, when it's the contractor that is just delaying themselves getting paid, that we put a line in there on that cover page. You know, lengthy closeout time due to contractor. I mean, if that gets exposed enough, maybe they'll get their act together, because hopefully they're not also holding up the subcontractors that are working for them. I just want the district to be something that contractors will want to work for, instead of saying, you guys take forever to pay, goodbye, too much work out there.
Yeah, we do suffer that challenge. You're absolutely right. We suffer that, and I mean, we suffered it for years, that we don't pay. And there are occasions when we get those complaints from the subs, and that takes some amount of time on our staff to have to research and find out when did the change order get approved? When did it end up on the pay application? I mean, heck, we talk about the final pay app. Sometimes the final pay app has to go back and forth. Not on some of our bigger guys, but some of the smaller guys, we have to go back and forth 3, 4, 5 times just for them to get the pay application right. And then what happens is they submit it and then they tell their sub, well, the school district hasn't paid it yet. And that we have to end up having that conversation, usually through like diversity, with those contractors and saying, those poor subs, and saying, guys, it's not the district. But a lesson I've learned has always been, when you're defending, you're losing. Right? And we spend time defending. We do. We have to get ourselves out of the way. But we have to try to make it so that we don't have to defend ourselves. And that's okay.
Leanne,
I see Leanne's hand up.
She's going to try to bail you out.
No, I'm going to agree with everything you all are saying. Dave knew exactly what I was going to say. The delays in getting people paid is something that's near and dear to my heart. And we are constantly, I'm meeting with the SPAs, meeting with everybody that listen to try to get bills in more timely, because it does become an issue on the finance side. We're supposed to be paying people timely based on when work was completed. So this time of year, which we've just wrapped up, we're finishing up year-end close, and we actually go around and say, I need every bill for work completed through June 30th. And if you can't get me the bill, I need an estimated value so it can be recorded in the financials as a liability. So I always question why it takes so long for the contractors to get us their bill. We owe them money. We need to pay them. So I'm all in favor of whatever we can do to get everyone to submit their bills timely.
Yeah, I would like to task staff with trying to come up with a vehicle that we can pressure or actually financially whack the contractors who are tardy at getting bills in. I mean, make it some type of a liquidated damage. I mean, it's absurd that they're holding up their own payment.
A lot of times it's not being tardy submitting, but incorrect information.
That's what I'm getting at. To me, that's still tardy. Yeah.
Yes.
John Cheshire and then Joe. John.
Yeah, I'm not usually in the position of the contractor, but I don't understand the explanation on this one. I'm looking at the change order and the contractor signed it, approved it back in September of last year. Yet you all are blaming the contractor for holding this thing up? I don't understand.
They submitted it, and after my review, there were errors on it. It was sent back to them for correction. They just did not re-sign the cover sheet
Yeah.
when they submitted it to me.
So
So
all the numbers that are on there were correct, but there was something else wrong with the backup?
the numbers that were on the pay app that's attached here were not all correct. There was an issue with them closing out. I don't remember offhand what it is. I mean, I mark everything up as I review it, so I could go back and take a look at what was wrong. But there were errors on this pay app, and it did have to go back to All Site for for them to revise this final pay app.
Okay, so the change order was okay, it's just the pay app. I understand that. Thank you.
Yeah, and if there was an error on the pay app, then that may have translated back over to the change order. So this amount here, I believe, was off. I believe they were asking for more than this. And when I found the errors, they had to go back and correct it. They had to go back and correct this part of the change order. They just did not change the cover sheet. They reattached the same cover sheet.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, obviously you guys have a billion pages you try to go through, but I would say in the future, it makes it look bad for everybody when you don't force them to change that date, or you just cross it off and put a new date. Because that's what makes it seem like it took a year to close this thing out. Because we're seeing a very small snippet of the whole process.
Correct.
Joe Sanchez.
Well, thanks, because I heard this whole conversation and I heard Dorothy started to explain that it wasn't all on All Site, it was partially on us. I've heard earlier comments about, well, maybe this is the reason why the SBEs, we should look at examining our policy on SBEs. I've heard even our own people say, well, smaller contractors have more challenges than bigger contractors. I mean, all those things, guys, I'm going to defend the SBEs. And I know Dickie is not here to do that for us or for them. But, I've seen big contractors, I've seen small contractors, I've seen big architects and small architects all make mistakes and recover from them, and some who haven't recovered from them. So let's not use this as an opportunity to pick on SBEs in general or the program in general. Let's identify where we have particular issues and address those issues. So that's my only comment. I don't want this to be an issue about let's grouping everybody together. We have challenges in big and small firms, and we have small firms that do exceptionally well.
Yep, and Mr. Sanchez is right. And even so far as I'll throw myself under the bus. I actually have a lady upstairs now, and she knows who she is, who her job is to simply nag me every day, all day long, when pay applications come in. Because it used to be, well, maybe they sit in my queue for a day or two or whatnot. Now they sit in my queue for an hour, and she's standing at my door, pushing me to get these things paid. We've actually done internally, as Dorothy says, when the pay application comes in, there's no reason why it shouldn't be routed for all our reviews and our approvals very quickly. And so with Leanne knows, Leanne's helped us in our process as well. We've done a dramatic change over the last, let's say, year to improve our process internally, because I'm a government employee to a certain extent. I want to make sure everybody knows it's not us. We didn't take too long. So that's my focus, is let's make sure that we got our ducks in a row and we're processing our stuff through, because there have been failures on our part in the past too, and we acknowledge that.
And Joe, none of my comments had anything to do with SBEs, because I didn't even know All Site was an SBE or not an SBE. I was just commenting about the process and the time frames. And again, from what we're seeing as a very small snippet of the process. If the All Site date had been changed to something that was, 3 months ago because it took them that long to get their documentation, I don't care what size company they are. That's, that's what it is.
Understood, thanks.
Okay, I pulled this, so I'm okay with letting it go forward with all that explanation. Need a motion?
Move to go forward.
Okay, need a second?
I'll second it.
Michael Guida seconded it. Go ahead, Dorothy.
Bill Hookio,
Yes.
David Porter,
Yes.
Frank Simon. Frank, John Chester,
Yes.
Ken Lassiter,
Yes.
Lou Doctor,
Yes.
Michael Gelfand,
Yes.
Mike Guida,
Yes.
Sam Shannon,
Yes.
Tom Berger,
Yes.
Virginia Ferris.
Yes.
And what happened to Frank?
Yes.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay, I was the only one that pulled FC3. I really pulled it for the same reason. Again, it was 3.5 months to close out, and I just wanted a discussion that we already just had to figure out methods to hold the contractor's feet to the fire to get people paid. So we don't need to review that again. Motion to go forward. Somebody else has comments on this one?
Move to go forward.
Okay, need a second?
Second.
Second by Sam. All in favor? I don't, so you say all in favor? Nope, no more.
Bill Hookio,
Yes.
David Porter,
Yes.
Frank Simon,
Yes.
John Chester,
Yes.
Ken Lassiter,
Yes.
Lou Doctor,
Yes.
Michael Gelfand,
Yes.
Mike Guida,
Yes.
Sam Shannon,
Yes.
Tom Berger,
Yes.
Virginia Ferris.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're down to FC6, and Mike Guida pulled it and I pulled it. So go ahead, Mike,
Um,
or I can start.
my question was, there was no air conditioning in the dry storage area. And, the original design, from what I read, was included to add a new AC unit into the dry storage area. And now they decided to pull the AC out and add ductwork to tie it to an existing AC system.
Yeah, that's what I read too.
So is there a credit for the AC that was
No.
in the GMP?
There was no AC designed in the original scope. They came back and said, okay, we will give you a design to put AC in there. And they gave us a price for that. And then they came back and said, well, no, the easier way to do it is to provide the ductwork. So there was in backup cost for the original and then cost, credit for that. And then the ductwork, I believe.
I read that there was an AC in there.
Well, the cover page, I think, said that there was an AC unit that was it sounded like it was installed, but it really wasn't. It sounds like, Dorothy, right?
So that's correct.
Says a new AC system was specified for the room, but upon additional review and evaluation. So if
It was specified.
that means it's in the original document.
No, not in the original. It was specified after the fact as part of an SI.
So the architect provided the design for a separate unit at freebie because they missed it. I'm assuming they didn't get paid for that, did they? Why would they have been told not to air condition that room?
No,
So they would have provided the design for the separate system and then came back saying, no, let's just tap into the existing.
Yeah.
So here we have the revision 6 included the additional unit serving the dry storage. And then revision 7 came in and said, no, we're not going to use that unit. We're going to put the ductwork in. But these revisions came after the GMP.
Okay. Thank you.
The reason I pulled it is I disagree with the architect's assessment that they said that the cost does not represent any additional costs to the district other than value added. Was the ductwork added after all the other ductwork had been installed and all the drywall was installed and everything was painted? Because it sounded like that from what I read. And if that's the case, then you're going to pay more for those renovations than you would have if it was competitively bid with the overall AC package, the overall drywall package, the overall painting package. Now you get somebody maybe even mobilizing the job again. So I just disagree with the architect's take if what I'm assuming is that this was an after the construction type work.
And I believe,
And not that it affects anything except don't kind of cover your butt here
right,
and say, you know, didn't cost the district any more. Yeah, it did a little bit.
did a little bit. So that would really make it more a design error.
Yeah.
As opposed to a design omission.
Yeah, it wasn't a complete omission. It was omission and error. I mean, yes, they omitted it.
Yes.
Part of the error cost would have been any of the renovation work necessary that we incurred that wouldn't have been incurred if it was already part of the drawings.
Okay. We can go back and reassess this.
Yeah, I mean, it's minor enough that I don't care about that. It's just, I guess, you know, when staff looks at these, it's just like, okay, was this really all value added? Don't just take the architect's word for it because CYA is part of the training.
I don't take the word of anybody for anything. Trust me.
Okay, anything else on FC6?
Move to
All
go forward.
Thank you, Virginia. You second?
Second.
Second by Sam. All right, poll us please, Dorothy.
Bill Hickey,
Yes.
David Porter,
Yes.
Frank Simon,
Yes.
John Cheshire,
Yes.
Ken Lassiter,
Yes.
Lou Doctor,
Yes.
Michael Gelfand,
Yes.
Mike Guida,
Yes.
Sam Shannon,
Yes.
Tom Berger,
Yes.
Virginia Ferris.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, PC1, Michael Gelfand pulled it and I pulled it. Michael, go ahead.
Is there a specific part A, B, or C, or D?
I was looking at D and the chart that's there. My focus, my area of inquiry was the last two columns on the chart. As I went through the first time, it did not appear that there were many yes in the last two columns, but going through and counting them up, there are actually 24 SBEs, which I don't know if that is a good number or not, and that on the 16, well, it's actually 15 pages of the report, there are 14 MWBEs. Also, interestingly, all of them are SBEs. One of my questions is the district satisfied with this? Are we continuing our application for SBEs? Has the marketplace destroyed our ability to bring them on? Where are we at?
Well, go ahead, Mr. Sanchez. See if your mic off. Do you want to respond to that? Because speaking for Dickey, because Dickey's not available.
Well, I mean, I could respond for Dickey, but you can respond in terms of what you're seeing on GMPs or our CMs achieving their goals, which I think they are. I'm pretty sure, and exceeding our goals. And they're exceeding our goals not just with checking the boxes, but they're filling them with qualified SBEs who are getting our projects done on time within budget. So I think the answer is that we remain satisfied. From my perspective, I think that the answer is yes, we're good, but I'll let Dave speak for himself and the rest of his team.
Yeah, you said it right on, Mr. Sanchez. From the construction standpoint, the contractors aren't complaining to us about having the prime contractors aren't complaining to us about having a problem getting small business contractors to participate. Even the percentages are often developed per project based on the available vendors for the types of trades we have. That's something that we work out with diversity up front, and then we hand that over to purchasing when we put the RFPs out. So it's not like we blindly do 20% across the board. It's generally a minimum for us, but some of our projects are upwards of 30% small business expectations, and they've all been met. We're getting good quality companies that are participating and playing a big active role. We're actually getting, we in fact are getting good feedback from our primes on the subcontractors that they bring on that are small business. I can't speak to MWBE because we really aren't using an MWBE program at the school district. We are tracking it, but from a small business perspective, we're having good participation and good work being done. Again, I'm starting to see some of the companies that I recognize now that 3 years from now, they're going to be the small STEMs, that they're going to break away from these contractors that are in the room here with me, that they're no longer going to be the subs, and they're going to be their own small business participating in a CM contract. So I see the up and comers in the projects that we're working with.
I also had pulled this just more for a discussion thought. We've had chats here before about, an SBE being able to go for $12 to $20 million project. It might be the CM. And where should that really happen? I mean, is that SBE really qualified, even though they're on this list? We don't seem to have limits for what we will allow an SBE to go for. So my thought was, just like you have bonding capability for all of these people, I mean, there's all bond limits, and those bond limits are set by bonding companies who know what each of these companies is capable of contracting for and to be protected by. Would it be something to be considered when we create these lists to set up categories of price ranges that they're allowed to apply for? For instance, offsite, their bonding capability is $6.5 million. Should something like that be capped at $8 million project that they're allowed to go after?
David,
Yeah,
please.
I
Yes.
can answer that because that's part of our application process and part of SREP. And what they are available for is up to their bonding limit. Or I have to double check this, but it's 2 times the highest project that they've done if it's over the bonding limit. So we can approve them for more, but they can have up to their bonding limit.
So using offsite because they're up there right now.
Yeah.
So they'd be allowed to go after a $6.5 million job, or is it their available bonding limit? Because if their bonding limit's already committed to other projects.
Of course, no, they wouldn't be able to, right, exactly. They would not be able to be awarded a project because they wouldn't be able to get a bond for it. So that's just their single bonding limit that we list there.
Right.
We also track their aggregate bond as well. We just don't report it on this list here.
So
and then when the projects, if they come up for a project or they're going to be awarded a project, then they would have to be able to be bonded for that single project up to that $6.5 million. Plus, the bonding company would take into consideration any other bond have out there for their aggregate.
So if they've got up to $6 million, let's say, in projects already committed,
then no,
they would only be allowed to go for a $500,000 project to get to their bonding limit.
Correct. With us or anybody.
And we track that. So essentially, we're doing already what I'm suggesting.
Yes.
Okay.
When we're
But we just never
When
see
we're
that.
right, you
But
don't
we know
see it.
we don't see that.
No.
Okay.
No.
So that is restricting somebody from going after a project that
Absolutely.
is higher than they've ever built before.
Absolutely. And it's not just with us. They could have projects in Martin County or Broward County.
So again,
Affects their aggregate.
using the Allstate, let's say they have no other projects, their bonded capability is $6.5 million. Would we allow them to go after a $12 million project?
No, absolutely not. No.
Okay. All right.
And they wouldn't even be able to go after a $6.5 million if they've already got 2.5 consigned to some other project.
Exactly.
And it shows up when we go to award them the contract, and they won't be able to get a bonding company to commit to that.
Mike Guida.
Would that be outlined in the RFP or the RFQ when you put out your proposals? Does it say, okay, you have to be,
Yes.
the bond limit has to qualify?
None of the project. Yes, you have to be able to bond 100% of the project.
All right.
And that includes any other bonding capacity that you're already absorbing with other projects. And they have to disclose that to you?
I would think they wouldn't even submit a proposal.
Oh, no, I wouldn't think that at all. No, 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 they'll go for the
If they
project.
did submit the proposal and they were awarded, then they would have to be disqualified after the award, and we would go to number two, whoever was number two. on
But
the
at
list.
some point in the process, you have to be given what their
Absolutely,
available
yes.
capability is. Does that come from their bonding company or just from them on their letterhead?
From their bonding company.
Okay.
Yes,
All right, so it is validated.
yes.
Okay. Frank Simon. You're muted, Frank. Still muted. All right, let's go to, we'll come back to you, Frank. Go ahead, Joe.
All right, so I just
Okay,
wanna-
I'm unmuted.
Hold on,
If
Frank.
you remember, David, I had asked for this meeting that we have a discussion on what kind of limits are put on the bonuses that are being given to small business for the size of the project, just the kind of thing that this discussion has started.
Hold up one
And
second.
I think that's really what we have to
Frank,
look at.
Frank, time out. That's going to happen next month.
Yes.
Next month, that's going to be on the CORC agenda. The diversity lays on vacation, which is why we couldn't have it at this meeting.
Okay, but when they do, there is a part of a board policy for this, and I've asked that copies be sent to all CORC members before the meeting when it's discussed. So would somebody please be sure that we get the appropriate parts of the written policy that relates to this before we talk about it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we'll make that part of the CORC package that goes out.
Yep.
Joe, you're up now. Sorry.
No problem.
Thank you.
No, I just wanted to be, Holly kind of actually already added some more information that helps, which was that the firm submitting has to get a letter from their bonding company saying that they would provide a bond if they were successfully selected for a particular project. So that's our coverage. But
Yep.
I wanted to make sure that that it's not as black and white. Now, anybody knows it's not as black and white as saying, okay, you have a $10 million, you have a $6.5 million single project bonding capacity and a $10 million aggregate capacity, and you can deduct the amount of your previous award from the last, from what your current aggregate is, and therefore we determine the size of the project. It's not that black and white. Every month when the contractor works off more of their project, their bonding capacity increase, their capacity becomes more available again, right? So if you have a $10 million project and you've completed 50% of it, well, you've already, you got $5 million still available again. So it's not that you signed a $10 million contract, your capacity is increased. But even that is not as black and white as it sounds, because the bonding company will work with most of their contractors and say, okay, well, your bonding capacity in July was $10 million. You just won another, $8 million project. You seem to be doing well. I'm going to increase your bonding capacity to $18 million or $20 million. Your bonding capacity has a flexibility. And if the bonding capacity company doesn't have that flexibility, you can fire your bonding company and hire a different bonding company, and that bonding company can get you the bond. So I don't want people to think that we have this mega tracking system that keeps tight reins on this, because that's really not what we do. It's really comes down to when that GMP, when you submit a proposal, one, you got to get a letter from your bonding company, which we basically call a good guy letter, and then when you bring that GMP to the board for approval, you better have your bond with you. If you fail to be able to provide a bond, we'll take the project away from you and give it to somebody else that can bond the project. So again, I just want to make it clear. This is a little bit more getting into the gray area, and I'm probably talking. I'm sure the CMs in the room are nodding their heads. It's a lot more flexible than it's not a black and white thing that you're going to as was explained early on.
Okay, back to PC one. Anything else on PC one by anybody? If not, need a motion?
A move to go forward, and thank you, Joe, for that explanation.
Yep.
You know, one thing, just at the last minute here, you know, he can reassure the bidders that we're looking at these items. You know, hopefully that they won't be reaching out. Thank you.
Okay, need a second?
Second.
Second by Sam. Go ahead, Dorothy.
Bill Hukim,
Yeah.
David Porter,
Yep.
Frank Simon,
Yes.
John Cheshire,
Yes.
Ken Lassiter,
Yes.
Lou Doctor,
Yes.
Michael Gelfand,
Yes.
Mike Guida,
Yes.
Sam Shannon,
Yes.
Tom Berger,
Yes.
Virginia Ferris.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, PC four, and I was the only one who pulled this. Dorothy, when you get a chance, can you go to PDF page 40? Questions I had on this, if you can zoom in on that, you'll see level O estimate on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these items. Total of about $50,000 in work. And I know this is the subconsultant, subcontractor vendor participation, possibly to get their percentage. So I imagine, do we just accept them not having an actual sub for those items at the time of GMP? And they're estimating, at least for their sub-consultants, that this is what the job will cost? I guess I don't know if they just didn't, these are almost like allowances and their GMP doesn't actually have a sub? Because if they had a sub, wouldn't they be listed here instead of just level O estimate? You wanna?
Can't answer that.
Okay. That can be a follow-up, that's fine.
I was
by
gonna
me.
say,
That would have been a question to ask ahead of time. So that
I didn't get to all this stuff. Yeah, I didn't get
Right.
to all this stuff.
yeah, because I'm looking at it and I'm seeing the same thing you are. I'm assuming these are,
He didn't get a number by the time he had to submit his GMP, so he threw a number in there.
CMs are allowed to do a portion of the work themselves.
But he's not doing a roofing package, and he's probably not doing drywall, and he may not be doing finished carpentry, and chain link fence, most likely not.
Right.
So I read this kind of between the lines as being, okay, he didn't get enough time to get real numbers for these. He threw an estimate in there. And so now he's got to try, I mean, if this is what he has to come up with to meet an SBE percentage requirement, then he's got to find people at these numbers.
And it very well may have been that he just did not get any proposals from the subs, that they put it out and they just did not get any.
Yeah.
Seen that several times.
I mean, like toilet partitions, I know he's not doing those and going to the store and buying them and putting them up.
so, yeah.
Okay.
No, but it is a good point that Dorothy's trying to make, is that I've had extensive conversations with a lot of our medium to large size CMs recently, and they are having a hard time getting coverage. It's across the board.
Yep.
It's not any one particular trade or area.
But it kind of reverts back to the comments before about free payment times too, and anything we can do to make the district something that every sub wants to work for, because they get paid fast.
No, we just blame it on Leanne. 'Cause she won't pay it every 2 weeks, so that we're out of luck. Sorry.
Okay. That's the only comment I had on this
Yeah.
one. I didn't see any reason to hold it up. It was something to kind of look into and just alert us about. I need a motion to go forward.
Move to go forward.
Okay. Need a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mike Guida. Dorothy?
Bill Hukim,
Yes.
David Porter,
Yes.
Frank Simon,
Yes.
John Cheshire,
Yes.
Ken Lassiter,
Yes.
Lou Doctor,
Yes.
Michael Gelfand,
Yes.
Mike Guida,
Yes.
Sam Shannon,
Yes.
Tom Berger,
Yes.
Virginia Ferris.
Yes.
Okay, we are done consent. We are on to in-progress FCA work.
Okay. Dorothy, do you want to jump on and get Aaron first, or do you want to do?
Up to you guys.
You're the boss.
Aaron would love. Aaron would love to go first because.
Yes. Thank you. For those of you that don't know, my name is Aaron Howard, and anytime I have an audience, I'd love to.
Give me your phone
Wait,
back.
no, hold on, take
I don't have your shares. Front window.
You do a better job of this than I did, that's for sure.
As I said, we got to read. You all at home are not seeing the same thing that we are. Now you are.
Okay. There we go. Okay, for those of you that don't know, my name is Aaron Howard. I am a senior project administrator for facilities construction. I'm tasked with the new build of Sunset Palms Middle School, which we started not too long ago.
Although we won't call it Sunset Palms Middle School, we'll still call it New 17 PP Middle School because we don't know what the name for the middle school
No, we don't, or the mascot at this time. But on to the really important things. So we started this project a little while ago, and it's going really well. And conversations I've had with Dave Dolan over the past week, he asked how it was going. I was really excited about it, and then apparently I was too excited because then he asked me to give this presentation. So this is all the information we provided in the news briefing a little while back.
Yeah, because we started, did our groundbreaking in.
Was it April?
Yeah, late April and May.
It was.
Stand up and top there.
Yeah. The middle.
Oh, yeah.
That's me.
There we go.
So I'm trying to bounce through the slides here. Is it on this one?
There, that's. So what we've gotten so far, right, is some of the work has started, right?
It has. So on your screen, mobilization was March 28th. We had a green site, as we call it, with a bunch of invasive plant species. And then by August 10th, we had it cleared, all the form beds for the precast construction laid out. And then as of last week, as of today, there's a few more panels than this, but we have 5 of the tilt wall panels in place. Here's a before, less than 2 months ago, what the site looked like with a drone view. Everything's cleared, everything's grubbed.
Tell everybody what that is.
Grubbed?
No,
Is that
the
the
pad.
So these are our casting bed. This gets the concrete, or this gets the ground underneath flat enough and pure enough, if you will, to cast the concrete on top of it. We're flying over, I believe it is building 2, headed towards building 1.
Oh, those footers.
So you cast the slabs on dirt, not on the concrete slab of the building?
No, they get cast on another thinner layer of concrete so that it's a smooth finish. And they use a
casting bed. Those are casting beds.
Okay, I always thought the slabs were built on top of the actual floor slab for the building so that you don't have duplicate work.
Some of these are sacrificial and they'll be broken up. They're 4 to 6 inches thick. Because that was the same question I had. I was like, why are we duplicating the work? And they're like, well, in some of the areas, depending on the layout and the crane and how it swings, we had to do this because it didn't work how we usually do if we have a bigger site. And this site's 12 acres, so.
So the goal with tilt wall is to try to just pour the building slab and then pour the tilt wall slabs on top.
Correct.
When possible.
Without damaging all your.
Yeah, all the plumbing and
infrastructure
electrical and
that
everything else that's
got put
poking
in
up
before
through
the
it.
slab.
I can see a lot of sheared off pipes.
Right, hence why.
We called locates, it's fine. So this is our drainage system that we've installed and since put back together before the opening of school. That was could be a point of contention, but we regrained it and it looks beautiful.
Oh, because you're sharing the drainage system with the existing elementary
With,
school.
yeah,
Ah,
Sunset Palms.
okay. This is a nice view to see the actual construction fly around. We never get to see this stuff.
Yeah.
We do it fancy on my projects.
You guys hire somebody to do all the drone work or?
Contractor does. Yeah.
I can bring my drone out there.
As a matter of fact, that's, Sunday night, like I said, the Crestwood site, had, Pirtle was good and got the vendor out to do a last flyover before school started.
And this was 2 days ago.
Those panels are pretty tall. That's probably why they didn't use the floor slab, because they're taller than the width.
Taller than the width of the building. Yeah.
They do weigh on average 119,000 pounds each.
Yeah, and if you don't let the floor slab cure quickly enough, now you're damaging
Yeah,
the
you're
floor slab
crushing
with
it.
all that. Yeah.
All the more reason why the sacrificial casting pads are.
So the casting pad, because it's taking, it is creating the texture for the exterior of the panels, I would assume.
I believe so.
Has to be kind of like a nice smooth steel troweled real slab. I mean, it can't just be a bunch of chunky concrete you put down there, because that's going to be the texture of
It
the
is
outside walls.
finish of what it is to be. And you can, well, I just saw a shot earlier. You can see in between some of them how
Oh yeah, that's too neat. Look at that.
I liken them to giant adult Legos that you can't step on.
And there's everything. I mean, how these CM guys will speak to it better, but all the different surfacings that you have to generate before
Have going on?
before you pour.
I don't remember if that's pickup or drop off. It's pretty sunny, so I'm guessing pickup.
Basically, with the crane, you're tipping these things up. I think they have embeds built into them so that they can actually hook the crane to them.
And what's interesting about the embeds, they're not as big as you'd expect them to be. I mean, they literally are just larger than a lunchbox, and there's quite a few of them. And I was like, there's no way you're going to lift it with just that. Like, oh yeah, that's all we do. So this is where we are as of a couple days ago. They're averaging 3 to 4 panels a day, and we're moving pretty quickly.
So they cast a lot of them, and then they let them cure and then tilt.
So the casting beds might not be right at the building pad to be able to tilt them up. They may have to actually carry them.
And it's always within the swing of the crane, because the demobilization of that crane is like $170,000 per time. So
Right.
we timed it just perfect.
But the panels to the left of the crane and top of the crane could have been the casting beds. And yet the slab below is the actual building slab where they're going to get tilted onto.
Correct.
So they call it tilt wall, thinking that you pour the slab here and you just literally tip it up. Not always the case if you can't build the panels on the building slab.
Correct. Yeah, there's a couple variations. Last night, as I was putting this together, I went through, and your history tidbit for today. Tilt wall has been in existence since the early 1900s, but wasn't actually achieved to this level until the 1940s, when the first simple crane was designed. So they'd build single walls and then tilt them up with a horse and a couple men for things like retaining walls or churches or small schools. But it wasn't until the mid 1900s that we really kind of got it going.
I built my architectural models in my CAD system. I design the wall and then tilt the wall up.
Yeah.
That's a really smart way to do it.
A little easier in the computer.
Yeah.
Where's this at?
This is Boynton Beach Boulevard and Acme Dairy Road. It's right, if you're familiar with the area, it's right next to Sunset Palms Elementary School. If you're not, Lyons Road is the next major intersection at Boynton Beach Boulevard.
Residential development.
Just west of Lyons.
I'm sorry?
Just west of Lyons off of,
Just east of Lyons.
Just west of the Turnpike.
Canyon Shopping Center is right here.
yeah.
All Canyon's development is there. And there's a park that's going to be built on the backside, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, they didn't show up in those.
Tom Berger.
Years ago, I heard that fire departments were frightened of tilt wall. Has that gotten any better?
I would be scared of tilt wall. As Aaron was suggesting, it's not something that you need to have a little faith in the guys that are running this system.
I don't mean that. I mean, if a fire develops after the construction, what holds the building together is the building. And so if you have a defect, has that gotten any more perfected over the years?
Yeah, the way they anchor the panels together is no longer any less secure than if you were doing CMU block interlocking.
All right, so now it's not all interdependent on the full structure. There's separate areas that protect itself.
Correct. They do lean up against each other, let's say, but it's not just held together with some mud. I mean, there are embeds that are built.
Bolts and inches of weld.
And there you go. Yeah.
So if I were to drive a car through one of the walls, everything else stays.
Yeah. Yes, that is correct. There's enough. It's kind of like a mesh system where you'd have to do a series of penetrations that would to have it become unstable.
And Tom, that car would have to be an Abrams tank to get through one of those panels.
No, I prefer to use cars over explosions. That's all.
No, I don't mean explosion. You would take a car and it would be like putting it through a crusher to try to go through one of those panels.
Like I said, the panels are 119,000 pounds.
Yeah, no, where I'm going is a fire, a gas explosion, or a purposeful explosion. I just prefer to use cars because it's more happy.
Yeah, no, I know from our experiences, because I've seen just in the 20 some odd years down here, the CM contractors that built things using tilt years ago, they've continually improved and perfected the process over that span of time. So I can only imagine what it used to be like.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Well, and Tom, I looked at some tilt walls a week after Hurricane Andrew down in Miami, and they survived. They had some roof parts caved in and some concrete T-beams that were broken and busted, but the tilt wall panels survived. So that was even 20 years ago.
Yeah. We had Francis and Jean down here, and I know when I was working at the county, I know we had some questions on whether or not they'd be able to survive them, and the projects that we had going on were fine. I think it was because of my boss. It was why it worked out so well.
And Tom, as far as driving a vehicle through the wall, you can expect a visit from school police later this
The FBI might raid your house.
Okay, that's it. Thank you, Aaron.
Yes, no, thank you. That concludes my.
That was that was informative. All right.
And my presentation is really, really fast because there's, although I would love to have Angel go on, I know that we've been in here for a little while, so I want to zip through. You all have seen my presentation every month. It's generally the same kind of work. It's the same setup. We have the details on what kind of projects, the money we spent, and the status of the design projects and the status of our construction projects that are ongoing. So go ahead, you can scroll through them really quick. Right here is our standard solicitation list, and I know that some of our contractors and architects kind of tune into this to see where we're going. I know, Mr. Porter, you had actually asked whether or not we were going to be able to discuss how our system is going with our 10 CMs, the 2 to 4 million, our 6 CMs, the 0 to 2 million, and our 10 architects. We're just getting off the ground. We're just getting rolling. We've got some of them highlighted here as projects that we're going to start distributing. And the other side of this is I got a ton of other projects. There's other, I don't want to say minor projects, but smaller than major school massive projects that we're looking to assign. And Barbara and I are both kind of swamped busy. So I'd love to say that this is all a function of we're working through the process. Barbara and I need to find time to sit down and start assigning these things out to a lot of the contractors and a lot of the architects, because Dorothy down there she keeps rolling up more and more projects. Oh, never mind. That's me throwing them at her. So we do have a lot of projects that are going to be coming down through the 0 to 2 and the 2 to 4.
So far, that hasn't really started. Everything we've
really
been seeing on our agenda today has
is
all been regular selection
RFP
process
selection.
from
Yeah.
before. Okay. I would say just in the next few months, once you start assigning this, just give us some feedback about the
Absolutely.
system because it's the first time we've tried it.
Yep.
So it'd be nice to know lessons learned.
And it was one of our promises
Working or
when we
not.
did this was that we were going to, like, let's say on a quarterly or the,
Quarterly's
We
fine.
just don't have
yeah,
data.
we would give you an
haven't
actual
started.
plan. And for those of you that sit on the selection committees, it also helps to see how those projects have been assigned and knowing who the companies are that got the work. So, okay, next slide. Now we'll just go through these. These are the next ones that are all coming up. You can see we hit a little bit of a lull, September and October.
Wow.
But then we're going to hit you with a bunch. And again, I'm assuming that we keep these are what we're trying to keep pace with. Sometimes you've heard us talk about our CMs. We have to work with them on getting their prices. So what we think goes in November might slip to December.
This is going to be our last job at Timber Trace. We've been working on Timber Trace for 20 years.
I'm going to say no.
Oh my God.
No. I love Kathy Pasquarelli, and I'm going to constantly be doing work for her for as long as I work for the district. Dorothy was the SPA for Timber Trace. So we take personally to make sure that Kathy's school is a strong facility.
My daughter's first day of kindergarten was delayed by 3 days at Timber Trace because of Hurricane Andrew.
Oh. Well, we'll make sure that she's got a good school. Dorothy did a fine job on the FCA. We can scroll through these. You guys can read them up. There's a lot of design work that's ongoing. And I've got George from AECOM. George Perez is cranking out a lot of the stuff with our team. So moving on.
Have you hired another in-house architect?
No, we have not.
Have not. Wow.
We have not hired an in-house architect. George is a registered architect and helps us in pricing out and scoping out some of our projects. But ultimately, we still rely on our consultants. We hire our consultants, and they're the people we rely on to give us a lot of our guidance. So you can see the following projects. The third bullet down are continue to the GMP process. These are some of the next facility renewals coming up. Okay, and I'm not going to bore you with the highlights there. Banyan Creek, Highland, got a lot of work going on. Eagles. I spent a lot of time over the last 2 weeks focusing on a lot of these to make sure that we were completed and cleaned. And what you don't see, what you guys all don't see, is what the SPAs go through. They didn't realize that they would be guys that would be wearing shorts and t-shirts and pushing a mop or a broom around a school at the end of the summer, because we oftentimes are sliding in feet first to finish the summer work and make sure that teachers are coming back on site. And what they don't want to see is wires hanging from the ceilings and dust and dirt and everywhere. So they're all well known for being the guys that push the contractors and even hire the folks themselves to get out there and get the sites ready. Next slide.
There's one item you said long lead times have already been ordered. I remember, I guess if you have a contract with the CM, you can have the CM order and you can pay for it in advance. I know we had discussions with Leanne before, and she said we weren't, as a district, allowed to buy stuff enough in advance and store it in a warehouse like light fixtures or air conditioning units. And then when a school would need them, deliver them to the school for the contractor to use them.
We have not actually experienced, we haven't really tried doing that.
Well, we said we weren't going to be able to, and it wasn't going to work. So this long lead time item is being fronted by the CM, or
it just means that they've gone through their, like for example, Hammock Point. We're probably talking about stuff that's going to be released for next summer. Like there are air conditioning units and chillers and things like that you guys tell me, but that are so far out. We're talking about 52, 58
no, I
weeks.
understand that.
That stuff has already been ordered.
But are we allowed to pay for things we haven't received yet? Or is the contractor fronting? Because a lot of times there's a deposit. I mean, they don't get it. They don't just put an order in. It's called, here's an order with a 50% deposit.
And they don't get paid for that. They
Really?
do, they get paid, if they get into a bonded warehouse, if they get it delivered in a timely manner, we can do that.
No, I meant the
Yeah.
contractor has to put up 50% deposit on an item that's not going to be here for 50 weeks.
So Aaron, do you guys want to have contractors start asking you for bills for all? No.
We do a lot of DPOs, and Barbara and I have been working through that, and that seems to help the process a bit, but
Yeah, okay.
all of them. And you're asking this question, and I'm also asking myself, I'm like, yeah, how do we do that? I don't know. It just gets ordered and shows up.
That's the thing. They don't ask us for the money because they know they're not going to get paid for it, because they know that
Wow.
we have a rule. I mean, it's just not a rule. It's a state requirement. We cannot pay for anything we haven't received.
Well, unless
We can
it's
do
part of
bonding
our,
warehouse.
unless it's part of our real estate, we don't pay for it.
Correct.
Leanne, yes?
Yeah, I'm here. We actually, after we brought it up at the last meeting, we've actually had discussions with legal and purchasing and trying to work through other options. And those discussions are still ongoing.
Okay. So at this point, the contractor's fronting the money, if any is due up front, before we actually receive the items.
That's correct.
Okay.
John, is that right? Okay. John said yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, as you can see, we had a lot of work going on this summer. Paving, roofing. You saw my video up on the roof with the superintendent at Murakami.
Well, we saw him on the roof. I don't know if we saw you on the roof.
Yeah. See, that's again, didn't he talk about supervisory roles? So Liberty Park, Murakami's on there. Limestone Creek got a lot of work done. You'll see some of the pictures coming up in seconds. Okay. Show me some pictures. Oh, sorry. There we go. All right. So parking at Lake Worth High School. That's huge impact.
Yeah.
If you've seen what the John I. Leonard, I think we're in the process on that one. But and that wasn't an FCA project, but that and this parking lot were in bad shape. They needed to be redone
like a
and
brand new
repainted.
school.
And it really does. It makes a huge impression. First thing when you pull in and it's nice, clean, dark asphalt with really bright white striping, it's a huge impact on their feel for the schools. So you can see the flooring work at Highland.
Now, is that VCT
Yeah,
or
that's VCT.
LVT? Okay.
Can you see the gloss, the glossy look? That's our VCT.
Yeah, you can almost get that dull of a gloss off of LVT.
Okay. Wall lighting at Limestone Creek. That's we try to do the best we can to avoid overspill into the neighbors, but we've been doing a lot of increased exterior lighting at that site to try to safe up the site. Next. Okay. Accessible walkways. Liberty Park roof. It's underway. Oh, it actually is completed. I forgot about that one. Paving work at Murakami. Ken Trochet has really been doing a great job with Hatcher, pushing them to get a lot of work done this summer. The school was, when we went through there, it was a mess. So it's dramatically better for closing. And just so you're wondering about the fire alarm panels, look at the size of that. The picture on the bottom left.
Wow.
You're thinking like, that's the fire alarm panel. It's a little thing on the wall. Oh,
That's the fire alarm?
that's the fire alarm panel box.
That's not right.
Concrete work at Olympic Heights. That's one of our Kaufman Lynn, I think, is working at Olympic Heights, and they got a ton of work done this summer.
Verify your photo of the fire alarm. I agree with Mike. You don't get conduit coming out of the top of a fire alarm panel for low voltage that big.
Okay. All right.
And fire alarm panels are not that deep.
Right. Well, they shouldn't be.
That looks like major disconnect equipment.
Okay.
Anyway.
Next slide. Okay. Triple O High School. I'm just gonna I'm let Angel off the hook at this time and say we got a lot of work going on. It's Pirtle is they took a little bit of time off to make sure that Malaluka's holding school got taken care of.
Because they were doing that.
They're doing that as well. They're working at Malaluka and the new school, the modernized school. But no, in fact, they didn't stop this at all. This project is continuing on.
I would think they got a whole bunch of different subs on this one than they do on a holding school.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger, a few more subs, let's say. But the pictures say everything. Go ahead, scroll on through. You can actually start to see the framework of what the site's going to look like. You can see that front parking lot off of Route 7.
It's like the roof's in place already. Roofing.
Yeah, we did the topping off about 3 months ago.
This one appears to be on schedule.
It is on schedule, and
next August.
We're not going to say that H word so that we don't.
Right. So a year from now.
Yes, it will be on schedule for open in August. As a matter of fact, we are anticipating we'll be ready by June. Everything will be done, up and running. All right, you can see a nice simple slide. We opened yesterday. Inspections done, furniture moved in, school is open. Angel, would you care to add anything on the school and how it operated and how everything went yesterday?
Sure thing. Good morning, everyone. So first of all, we are extremely pleased at the opening of Blue Lake Elementary yesterday. Everything went smoother than most openings that I have been a part of, which is a great compliment to just the team out there working together. As you know, we were down to the wire, and just to put perspective on it, the holding school left the site late in June because of the COVID shutdown. So school let out late in June, and then we had to remove the portable site, which consisted of 70 portables, the walkway covers, and all the infrastructure. So we actually got started with Blue Lake construction in late July, beginning of August. And so it was a massive effort, especially on behalf of the team of Moss and Siskovich to get this together. But I also wanted to commend all of our vendors that worked there at the last minute, pushing everything together. Vendors such as Witch and Jackson Audio Enhancement, Day Test and Balance, Convergent, which does the cameras, which are all up and running. Smart Tech, which did the cameras, which are all up and running. Verco, which provided all the furniture. We basically have just some miscellaneous furnitures and one shipment coming later this week. But all of the furniture is in for the school to open. Kitchen served food without a hitch yesterday. Everything went well with the kitchen. I also wanted to just quickly mention some of the departments, because there's a lot of departments that are involved in the opening of the school, and they all come together and work 100% around the clock to make it happen. So starting with BCS and all of their inspections and assistance, the IT department and getting all the technology set up, the Ed Tech department as well, MMPO, planning, getting the traffic signal with the city and the police of the city so that it was monitored properly at Banyan Trail and military. And last but not least, the school staff and their administrative staff helping and working with us around all the construction and last minute things that we were doing. So kudos to everybody involved in that effort. The opening of the school went extremely smooth. I have opened a number of schools over my years, 25 years doing this same position that I'm in now. And I have never had an opening as smooth as it went yesterday. We were, opening was 8 o'clock, of course, first bell. And we had every car out of the lot dropped off students by 8:03. And so that was extremely impressive. I have not seen that yet. The only hiccup we had was in the afternoon in dismissal. And that was primarily because it's a new school and the configuration of the school is, we have a 3-story classroom. And so we had some challenges there in the dismissal. So it took longer than we hoped for. And I'm sure today it will be a lot better because we are making some adjustments and primarily in the logistics of getting students out of the school. So we started dismissing the students at 2 o'clock and it took about an hour. So we finished the dismissal from the parent pickup area by 3 o'clock. And we would like to, of course, be within 20 minutes, 25 minutes from that. But other than that, everything else went well.
Yeah, Angel, incredible job. I mean, you all know he's such an incredible talent, and he's working 2 projects right now. He built an entire school in less than a year, Because that's the thing. He said he started in August and this thing was done in July. As well, oh, that other big high school thing that we haven't built a high school in years, still working on that one too. So kudos on such an incredible job on getting this thing up and running. And I would be remiss if I didn't do exactly what you did and say thank you to all the other partners that we work with to get this thing done.
Angel, is the punch list done, or that'll be something that goes on after school hours?
No, Dave, we were down to the wire getting everything completed for TCO and for occupancy of the building. We do have some punch list, of course, and that will be done starting Monday. So we are only there this week addressing critical issues that may come up as the school is in service, just to respond to issues and not, assist the school. But we will be in full force starting Monday at 2:30, from 2:30 on, addressing all of the punch list items.
Okay. Somebody
By
else
the
have
way,
any?
I went by it on Monday. You guys were still doing a whole lot of work on Monday, weren't you?
We were down to the very wire. We were down to Tuesday night, but we got it done.
Yeah.
Congrats.
I think Virginia's got her hand up too. Virginia?
Yes, the green pieces, is that parking?
The green pieces, what is that, Virginia?
The three green things on the
It's to
bottom
the left,
right.
left bottom, and I think that's
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing the slide that you guys are seeing.
okay. There's canvas. It looks like there's covered parking in the property to the.
That's a commercial doctor's office, I think.
Yeah.
To our property. Yeah.
Oh, yes, there's an office building. Yes, there's an office building just southwest of our property, and they have covered parking that is not part of our school.
No,
There's
I'm talking about the bottom, you can't see the screen. It looks like green area with the cars going one way and another way. Is that all part of the, get in and you just keep circling around, or is that parking area?
That is parking. Actually, what you're seeing is a slightly older photo. It's probably a week or two older. The parking areas are the darker beige, and then the driveways are the lighter beige. The circulation driveways that you're talking about. But it is all one shade. It all looks the same color, and it's all striped up with parking bumpers and the whole thing. So yes, it all looks one giant parking lot. What you can see is in the darker beige or gray, at the ends, there's landscaped islands at the ends, right? Trees, a couple of trees on each of them. That usually defines the boundaries of our spaces there.
Okay, yeah, to me, they look green, but maybe to you in person they're beige. And then do the cars, the parent drop off, all circle around all of those areas, or is that just for holding?
Yes, Virginia, they're serpentined within the parking lot to make it efficient. And we did not receive yesterday any complaints from any of the parents, but we utilized that parking lot to its fullest. So we had them come in from Banyan Trail. Once they were in the parking lot, they serpentine around each of those driving aisles in the parking lot to maximize the stacking area, and it functioned well that way.
Is that also the bus loop?
No, the bus loop is on the north part of the site. So they come off of Military. Our buses come from Military between Don Estridge and this property, and they enter the bus loop on the north side of the property.
And how do the walkers assess it? I remember that was a big conversation when we were doing the boundaries. So how do the walkers assess this?
The walkers that we had, and we had some students that came on bicycles, they accessed the gate. There's a pedestrian gate off of Military, and it's once you enter the campus, it's all undercover. And they came from Military down to the school and parked their bicycles in the bike rack that's there, and so that went well yesterday.
So that has nothing to do with the bus loop or the parent drop off?
No, Virginia, it's separate.
Okay, thank you very much.
Virginia, what you're looking at now, the picture that we have now, the two baseball fields on the left are actually baseball fields for Don Estridge. And then there's a driveway just to the edge of that. That is where the buses come in. That is the bus pickup and drop off. You'll see the big open field. That is actually the play fields for Blue Lake. That is their elementary PE area. Just to the right of that is the covered walkway, right where her cursor is now. That's that covered walkway. It leads from Military Trail, which is the road on the bottom. There's a covered walkway that leads all the way up to that blue, that's the playground area. Got me on that, Dorothy? There you go. Actually, you have to do it on your slide.
Yeah, I don't know if they can see that.
Yeah, they can. When you do that, they can see that. Can you see her cursor? That covered walkway?
Yes, it's very helpful.
With that covered walkway was there. Actually, it's a carryover. We installed that covered walkway at the holding school when it was there, and we left it there. And we used that in the design, that is a covered walkway that leads down. Military Trail is down here on the bottom. So all the pedestrians, all the kids that walk, come in there, right there at a gate, and then they come in along covered walkway all the way up to, and they go all the way up to that playground area, go past there and into the back of the building there. That's where the cafeteria is. So that's their secure access. No walkers have to come in where the parent drive is on Banyan Trail.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, when you say covered walkway, I'm thinking, wait a minute, why did we spend so much money on a covered walkway? What's wrong with an open sidewalk to get rain on you?
Yeah.
Now that it was already there, it would have been more money to remove it than just leave it there.
Exactly.
Good idea.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Exactly. So, yeah, we left it there. You can actually see this photo is a few weeks old.
Yeah.
Or maybe a few days, but that's their construction area, their compound. So that'll all be gone, and they'll continue it out, make it all nice and neat.
What's the fencing like, separating the park from the school?
Separating the what?
If you go that photo, I'm sorry, to the east of the school, there's the Count de Hornès Park or whatever it is.
Yes.
Okay. And it looks like the walkway for that park is adjacent to the school. Am I wrong?
No, you're correct.
And so there's significant fencing there?
Yes, there is black vinyl cladded fencing all along that property between the school and that park and that walking trail. There's also landscaping along that perimeter, both on the city's park area and on the district side as well.
Okay.
Dorothy, go up one slide. Okay, that's what he was talking about. The lake is on here on the bottom, and there's a giant black vinyl fence. So that walk there's the vinyl fence that she's highlighting there. That's our vinyl fence, and then we have landscaping along that edge too.
Okay, any other questions?
You're going to have to send the school police to me again, but that's the soft section of the school.
Only for the young that can climb.
Okay, anything else?
I think that's it. Go ahead. Thank you, Angel.
Thanks, Angel.
Thanks for your feedback on that. 17 PP. Yeah. Go ahead.
David?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Before you get off of that school, there was some discussion in the board, and I think it came through here too, that they were considering a configuration district-wide where the elementary schools took preschool through 4th grade. Now they have 5th grade. They were going to move the 5th grade into the middle school and have 5, 6, 7, and 8. And my question is there a 5th grade in this school?
There is.
Tell us it. Apparently that discussion is over with the district then.
Yeah, and forgive me, I stay out of the academic side as much as I can when I can avoid that. But I know of no discussions now where the school district is leaning towards the 5th, 6th, and 7th and 8th all combined. I haven't heard of that. We do K-8s. That is a very prominent type, and I know we've talked with you guys.
Verdi?
Yeah, we did Verdi, we did Addison Meisner's now K-8. So we do those, we do K-8s, but no, I have not heard any discussions of 5, 6, 7, 8 being a combined middle school and K through 4. We are doing K through 5. It's 6th grade.
Okay, that answers it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, this one we saw.
Yep, go ahead. Next. Pretty photos.
Yep,
There you go.
we already saw these. Yep, we already
Okay.
saw Aaron's presentation there, so we can go through these.
All right, Delray Full Service. Just want to let you know that we're still on track. We expect that by the end of this year, we're going to be complete. Go ahead. Malaluka Holding School there. So you've seen it at the end, but basically you can see the portables. That's the track at the back of Crestwood Middle School. And off to the edge, there's actually a park on the other side of all that heavy vegetation. But that's where we put 47 portables in. This is an old photo. It doesn't look anything like that anymore. It's all landscaped up and whatnot. And you can see the bus drive is now, it's still the bus drive because this school, Malaluka's Holding School is, as we said, is predominantly all busing students. So they still use that bus loop. Staff parks in the center of that bus loop. There's a series of parking spaces in there. And the parents drop off through, on the picture to the right, the dark gray, the main parking lot of Crestwood. Because again, Crestwood Middle School, they're a middle school, they don't start until 9:30. The elementary school start at 8. So all the elementary people can drop off if they so choose through that parking lot and go into the campus. And then everybody clears out, and by 9 o'clock or so, middle school's gone through. So that's just a quick view. I'll give you more in coming months on all that stuff.
Okay. Any questions by anyone? Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Dave. All right, approval of minutes. Virginia, any minutes issues?
Good minutes.
Okay. Anyone else with minutes issues? All right, minutes are accepted then. Any other discussion points? Anything we want specifically for the next meeting other than the SBE diversity discussion?
And how to criticize the CNs.
Don has raised his hand.
John, yes, sir.
Yeah, I wasn't at the meeting last month, but I had asked 2 months ago in June for an update to the contingency use policy. And under the follow-up from last month was provided a comment that the policy will have to be submitted to the executive cabinet for review and approval. And this submittal has not been scheduled yet. This is disappointing to receive this answer. It's been exactly 1 year, it was August of 2021, that CORC had approved the changes that were coordinated with Jim Kennard. We all spent several months revising the policy so that staff's actual use of contingency would be in agreement with the board policy.
Mm-hmm.
So like I say, it's disappointing that staff has not moved ahead and obtained approval of the revised policy so that they can be in compliance with the policy. So I was wondering if next month I can get a real answer, please.
Yeah. No, last month I fell on the sword because it is in fact my shortcoming in not having taken this forward. And I'm doing everything I can. Mr. Sanchez knows that I am pressing. I think I have 4 policies that I want to bring forth. And I've gotten all the legwork done. The easy part, and hopefully my boss doesn't get mad, but the easy part is going to executive cabinet. It's just that I haven't had an opportunity to schedule that. And I want to make sure that I still have to work with the board office to make sure that if they're going to let me time it so that I can do it the following, bring it to the board the following month. So I will do everything I can to get out of my own way and get it before the executive cabinet and the board.
Okay.
Virginia.
Do we have an answer yet from the school board as to our oversight responsibilities on safety? Security?
I think Joe Sanchez had mentioned at a last meeting that he was going to discuss that with the board. So Joe, if you're still on, I don't know if you've gotten any response back from the board to update us.
I don't know if he's here.
I don't think Joe's on. Let's put that on a follow-up to get Joe's.
There was an intent. I know Mr. Sanchez talked to Mr. Barbieri, and I'm not sure exactly where it stands, but I
That's
know
what
that there was an expectation, board discussion.
Well, that's why for follow-up, we need to know where we're supposed to start and stop
Correct.
with what we
Correct.
look at for security.
Okay. I think it was on for last month, but it had to be withdrawn for.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
it's Frank Barbieri. I had it on for discussion and the superintendent felt that we should wait till after the election because it could get into some issues that deal with security and there was heightened interest in that. So I pulled it back off. I'll put it back on after the election for the board to discuss.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Good. Joe, Michael Gelfand.
I've withdrawn, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Anything by anyone else? All right. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.